Hi everybody, welcome back to the JG Show. I am in the bar at George and Dragon here at SeaWorld Sherco, where you can get a pint for 35 RMB on happy hour, even as little as 15 RMB. And I'm here with Grant Jackson. Grant Jackson is a pro golfer here in China, and he's going to tell us all about golf, the business and everything, and much, much more here on the JG Show. So let's start from the beginning. Grant, how'd you get to China?
So I was a full-time golfer from 2007, turned professional. Played in Germany and all over Europe for a while, and then I think it was 2011, ended up playing the European tour, got injured, tried to work my way back, but then saw Asia as a route, came out to the Asian tour and did well early on. My second event I finished third. So I kind of thought, that's my route back to Europe, do well on the Asian tour, they're linked together.
Okay.
I will...
and it's like a point system or something where you...
Yeah, it's like a ranking. So the top
system.
so many in the order of merit get in the European tour event, co-sanctioned events for the next year. So I'd kind of got a head start against Europe. I still went back a little bit to Germany and played, actually it was a German-based tour, but it was Morocco and Turkey, the first events.
Okay.
So...
I see.
I'd already played well. And I thought, I liked Asia, met some people out here. Paul, who you know?
Paul, yep.
He let me stay in his apartment. So I based myself in Thailand. I went back, carried on playing, played well, and so I had 4 years I lived in Thailand.
Just playing golf?
Just playing golf, yeah. So that was my base, Thailand was my base. I did well in the local Thai tour, I was ranked the #1 foreigner in Thailand. And I was just going up all the time. World ranking was going up. I got to 529 in the world.
Really?
And then I kind of just fell off a cliff.
Okay.
Injured my neck. Took 3 months off. Spent everything I earned on rehab and all that kind of thing. And met some people who were based in China teaching golf through a friend there. And they were like, come work, come work. And I'm like, no, I'll be okay. I'll do my rehab. I'll go back playing. So I did, hurt myself again, and that went on for like 6 months, to the point where he came back, he said, look, there's still a job, come work. So I said, all right. So that's how I ended up in China, through a friend who had businesses here that they knew. He had a bar, who Craig Wildman, you probably know, he was his best friend.
That's it, yeah.
They were in business together.
Okay.
And it just kind of rolled on from there. I came, and for nearly 5 years now, I've been in China, all through being injured. My plan originally was that I'd earn some money, get myself right, go back playing again. And it just got that it's just too difficult, too difficult to get over the injury.
You were an actual player then, so
Yeah.
when is that common with a lot of golf pros here that are teaching golf? Are a lot there must be two kinds of golfers. There must be ones that are players, but then then next is they become an instructor. Whereas then there's others that actually are just passionate about instruction, right? They're just passionate about teaching golf.
Yeah, I mean, what happens, there's two levels, like you say. There's people that go the playing route, and there's people that do like what they call the PGA degree, which I've actually done now. I'm about to finish it. But I started it late compared to people who get to a certain level. They do the PGA and they work in golf shops or whatever and coach a bit. Then they see an opportunity out in China, so they just go for it.
I see. Yeah.
They go from kind of being an apprentice somewhere under a head pro, and then they'll see advertisements looking for a pro in China. They think salary looks quite good, and then they make the jump. Obviously, I was different, and that was the attraction for my friend who was the director of golf at the time. He's like, they'll love you in China. You'll be busy. You're different. So you've not got the PGA background. Right? You've been a good player near the top.
Yeah, because you've done the European tour, right?
Well, I've done them all: European tour, Challenge tour, Asian tour, Thai tour, Philippines tour. So I'd played all over the place.
I see. Yeah.
And done well, won, and so it's a different kind of attraction that they want to be taught from someone who really knows how to play the game.
That's it.
Rather than someone who's been trained to teach.
I see, yeah, that's right. I mean, that's true with any kind of sport, right? You want someone who's actually been like a pro basketball player, right? And they're now retired and they're coaching. You would always pick that over someone who just knows how to play basketball.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously, like, you're into boxing, right? So you can train people how to box, but then you get a professional boxing coach to come, and it's completely different. You learn from them, and that's what, it's kind of a circle amongst all professional golfers. Like, my coach was a PGA professional, but also a good player. I don't actually know which order he did it in, if he did the PGA route early, or if he played. I think he played and then decided, right, I'm going to do the training, because it's a worldwide recognised qualification.
That's right, yeah.
And that's why I've gone on to do it.
Go, right?
That's why I've gone on to do it now, just because I don't need it here in China, luckily. Although many people do, but I was lucky that my playing background got me the job. And I've just looked at its job security.
That's it, yeah.
I can go anywhere in the world once I've finished it, which hopefully that'll be done in May time, the final exams. I've got one assignment left to do, and then that's it.
And that's it.
I can't wait for it to be over.
It's a worldwide credential, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a PGA of America, the British PGA. If you're American, you probably say the American PGA is
better than it.
If you're British, but they're close. You know, they're worldwide recognised. And then there's maybe just under that will be Australia, maybe, and then New Zealand, and then other different PGAs around the world. So, it'll get me a job anywhere in the world. Not that I'm looking to leave here, but it's just different opportunities will arise. Without that qualification makes it difficult. It makes it an advantage then, being a good player and having that. And then the coaching experience, and there's all sorts of qualifications you can do throughout the world of golf anyway.
I see. Going back then to you playing, when did you start playing then as a kid?
I was late.
Yeah,
I was 16 years old.
16 years old, and that was your first tournament?
No, I just took it up as a second sport. I was actually a rugby player.
So you were a rugby player, then you go into, I mean, when was the point where you noticed, like, I think I'm actually really good at golf? And then you start climbing to an actual credible tournament?
18, 19.
18, 19.
Yeah, so I signed professional rugby at 15.
All right.
With my best friend. We signed on the same day at 15 years old. We played for the same amateur club. We were schoolmates, went to school together. And he's gone on to have a successful rugby league career, playing for England.
Wow.
Rugby league, this is not rugby union, but he's still got the record for highest points scored in a game for England against Russia.
Okay.
So I've got a lot of friends within the world of golf, and a lot of friends now who are superstars of rugby.
In rugby.
So one in particular, Sam Burgess, is obviously a well-recognised name worldwide now for him crossing codes, and I met him through my best friend, and most of my friends were actually rugby players.
Wow.
And I just took it up as a second sport, golf. I just thought,
I mean, is there much correlation between rugby and golf? Like, how do you transition from that? I mean, they're polar opopposites, right?
Yeah,
they're completely different.
I just thought that's what professional sportsmen do in their spare time. So I took up golf. And I've obviously found out that I spent a lot of time on the golf course with my friends' rugby mates.
I see.
They want to come and play golf. They're interested because I'm a good player. They want to spend their time with me, and I've got a lot of good friends now who actually weren't originally my friends. They were his teammates, and we made good friends. They're back in Australia and stuff. And
wow.
So it's been interesting. Like being a rugby player, thinking like a rugby player, then becoming a golfer, and having to kind of change.
And you're playing. And when you started playing golf, were you playing with the idea to play competitive, or are you just hitting balls and having fun?
I just played for fun.
Just for fun.
What actually really got me into it was when my dad's old golf clubs got stolen out of the garage.
All right.
So he got like the insurance. He got a voucher to go and spend in a golf shop. So he had just bought some new clubs. So I said, well, we may as well let you buy some, because I was just getting into it a little bit. So that kind of really kicked me on, because I had all this new kit. You see, so now it was any excuse not to study as well.
You have to use it, right?
I was like 15, 16, just doing my GCSEs, and it was like, get me out of the house. I want to just go on. I don't want to study anymore. I want to play golf.
I want to play golf.
So it was like rugby and golf.
Because golf is a really it's a sport where you're very much alone.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? And
especially
rugby
as a pro,
is the exact opposite.
Especially for a pro,
Right.
So for a pro golfer, every day I was on my own.
You just by yourself for hours, 4 hours. You just
it weren't just that. Like, it depends how dedicated you are, but I used to get up at 6 a.m, go to the gym. So on cold frosty mornings in England, it's still dark, I'm going to the gym at 6, or getting up at 6, I'm in there, I do my hours session, which were like kind of CV and corrective exercise, I called it. I had maybe a list of 25 different exercises, and all the other guys would laugh and take the piss out of me, really.
Okay.
I'm hard to say that on camera.
Yeah.
But and the rugby lads would be in there, and I'm doing my little chicken dance, they call it, and stuff, which are just like...
Stuff for balance and mobility.
And but yeah, the rugby guys were then in there as well, early doors, doing their sessions, and then I'd go home or have breakfast wherever I could find, then I'd go practice all day, and that was my day. And then I'd go back to the gym then with some friends who were finishing work at 5 o'clock at night-ish, something like that. I'd do my weights then at night. And that was my daily routine, really, but very lonely, you know.
Yeah, it's I don't know how someone who, I know you quite well. You're quite a social person. I know rugby is extremely social. There's a huge social side to rugby, right? Yeah. But then golf is something where it's a lot of dedication, especially if you're looking at like playing at the levels that you did. It's just a lot of hours by yourself, and you may be doing short game. You must be doing like just one or two simple shots, but you're doing it for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, I mean, at different stages, I had friends who were fairly successful in their business. So they'd come meet me sometimes 11 o'clock, sometimes 2 o'clock. So we'd have a little chipping competitions and then play 9 holes. So it weren't every day, all day, sometimes. Yeah. And they were keen golfers. He'd want to play me for a drink or a snicker or a sandwich, depending what time he shows up. Yeah. It was always late, actually, but it helped his game. And then another friend he was a pretty good golfer. He actually tried turning pro and got his amateur status back. He had his own business, so he was the same. He could come, but it brought his game on then, spending all the time with me. And we had a good club team then. So this was still amateur at this point, so I weren't professional straight away. Okay. So
how long did it take you to hit pro? And when you go pro, that's when you have access.
I turned professional in 2007.
2007.
In 2004 was probably my best year as an amateur. I got in the England squad. They sent me to Mexico in 2005, and then I turned pro in 2007. So it kind of went really fast. Really fast,
yeah. That is very fast, right?
From 16 to 18 was when I was just playing for fun. I was obviously playing rugby and training 4 times a week. I was at college, and it got to the point where, what am I going to do? There weren't a first team contract. I was getting picked over players who were fully signed. So my coach had me in his plans, but the first team coach didn't have me in his plans. It's just opinions, what they want from that position out of a player.
I see, yeah, that's right.
So I had to make a decision. We're going to get a job. We're going to go to uni. I'd got pretty good at golf. I was like 4 handicap after playing for 2 years. And then...
And rugby's not working out, so then you just...
Yeah, I could drop down a league and then work full time.
I see.
Whereas the rugby league was full time at the first team level.
Yeah. Which is what you want. You want at that age.
Yeah, and that's what
you want to put everything into it.
So I just got a job at the golf club.
Okay.
So my dad said, "Let's see how good you can become. I'll support you for a couple of years and see how you do." And I got good quick then. So it's okay getting good to 4 handicap. There's loads of them around.
All right.
That's what you need to be a club professional. The guy who hired me in the shop said, "Get to 4, turn pro, we'll do your PGA, blah blah blah, and you've got a career ahead of you."
All right.
And I just decided not to do that. I stayed working there. I started having lessons. I'd never had any lessons. The guy said, "You've got some potential. Don't turn pro, do your PGA. Stay amateur. You can have a good career." And then you think, depends how high you get. At amateur level, I got pretty high playing for England, but there's like another level, and then you think, if I play for England, sponsors will come queuing up. And
that's it.
But only if you play Walker Cup, which is like the amateur Ryder Cup.
All right, so that you.
So Great Britain Island play against America.
All right.
So there's guys like Tommy Fleetwood, Danny Willett, McIlroy have all played for Great Britain Island against America, which are guys like Ricky Fowler, Dustin Johnson, Jordan Spieth, all these guys.
Yeah.
So that it's just a little bit of a level above, like at the amateur level, then the sponsors. But I've got friends who played Walker Cup who didn't get sponsors, but they managed to win enough money.
I see.
But it's so top heavy, you see. The European Tour, the PGA Tour, there's so much money to play for, but the levels below, you're struggling to get by.
You get nothing.
Yeah, you're struggling to get by, and like I'd done well, and it just weren't enough to survive and get through the injury. If McIlroy or Woods, like Tiger Woods has got injured, right? His back, he's had 3 surgeries.
That's it.
He's not got to worry about anything. He can take his time, come back. started running out of money and had to go down the teaching road.
Oh, okay, I see.
So, which obviously then ended up in China, and then I've done a lot of qualifications since, done my PGA, and I'm still here.
Curious about the injury. You said you hurt your neck. I mean, and this is all playing golf.
Well,
right?
it was an old rugby injury.
Oh, no,
so
rugby injury.
My neck's all over the place, really.
And it activated by just...
Yeah, the disc just kept popping out and pressing on the nerve. Like when you see the scans, like there's a spinal cord and there's the disc pressing to the spinal cord.
Okay.
And I just pushed myself so far, I was taking 3 tramadol a day to play golf.
Oh, because especially when you're on the driver,
turn.
You couldn't turn.
But it got to the point, even then, I couldn't turn my head at all. So I just pushed it. Rugby player mentality, right? Give me a painkiller, stitch me up, send me back on.
All right.
That's come back to bite me, if you want, in terms of my playing career, because first little niggle, that's me out, I'm not playing. Whereas I'd give me a painkiller, I'll get through it, and then the next week. And I was doing well, so you kind of don't want to drop down in the rankings. I'm fighting for a top 5 spot to get on Asian Tour full time, and I'm right there, innit?
Yeah.
I'm second. I can't withdraw this week. I need to make some money to stay up there.
You got to stay hard.
And I just pushed it too far, you know. So.
Do you remember like a particular time when it, like you hit and it like cracked? Or
not really. No, it could be anything, and that was the difficult bit. I could be in the gym, it suddenly spasm.
It would hurt. Yeah.
I could be in bed, wake up one day, and it's no good. I could be on the golf course and suddenly feel, I didn't feel. It would just be the muscles would tighten up really.
I see.
And then as I pushed it on, it was then like a cold feeling down your neck. I remember the time that I withdrew. I'd just seen a doctor, had a scan in Malaysia. And I'd done these exercises that he told me to do, and I was going back the next day before I played, and it just went, and I felt the feeling all the way down, got in the shower, and it got gradually worse. It was like something taking over my body, just to the point where
you kind
of. And I'm messaging him. I went to the range to try and warm up, and I'm saying, look, I'm going to take a tramadol, I'll try. I said, okay, try, keep in touch. And so I took one, it's not getting any better. And he's like, look, don't take any more. Withdraw from the tournament, come and see me straight away.
Oh, okay.
We'll do another scan and extra. Like, he wanted to rule all the different things, like a bone spur in my neck that could be triggering it. And then I'd fly back to Malaysia to see him sometimes. He was one who helped me a lot. That I'd been to see sports specialists in Bangkok and gone to see specialists in England, and I just never got anywhere. I just never got anywhere with it, and I even got a doctor to come over from America here, paid him $4,500 for 3.5 days.
Okay.
And he worked on me 12 hours a day, and he gave me the half day free because he said, it's the worst I've seen. And I just laid in my living room on a massage bed, and he was doing all sorts of things all day, different trigger points. He said it was something called, what did he say now? I forgot what he said. He's written a book about it, the whole thing, that people have operations and surgery because they get diagnosed with something, and then they're really screwed then.
I see. And it's a rugby injury, you said, right?
Yeah, well, I remember hurting my neck playing rugby a couple of times.
And then golf just made it worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, and I was fine, and for a long time I had trouble. And I'd see different people, it just never got fixed, never got anywhere. Okay. So that sadly brought an end to my playing career.
So that was it.
But I have competed again. After that the doctor came to see me, I went to the Philippines, shot 7 under or something in the first round or second round, and he was like, look at that, I've fixed you.
Okay.
I'm like, not really, my hand's still numb when I'm going around the golf course. I was playing with a numb hand and waking up in the night with a numb arm, and it was horrible. Jeez. And that's when I decided I'm not going to go back playing full time until I feel I'm 100% right. Okay. Because I don't want to go through that, because you're on flights, you're in different beds and hotels. And
that's right.
You're moving from one place to the next.
Too much. It's
and
too much.
I just didn't want to. It's stressful, not sleeping properly, and you're playing for money. I just wanted to be fit.
Yeah, and it's competitive too. I mean, you can't necessarily just take a breather. Every single hole is like that. I mean, you could lose so many points, or you could lose your ranking just by one wrong shot, right? Mm-hmm. You have to be 100%.
I went and played the Philippine tour because they fell out with the Asian tour.
Okay.
They had so many events, and they made a separate tour, and it's only 2 hours flight, so it was pretty easy, and I enjoyed going back and playing and not being as intense.
All right.
Because I was super intense, like all day, every day. First one out practicing, last one in. Exercising, doing T25 in the corridor, and people are walking past.
Yeah.
Other players like, you are mental. We're going to McDonald's for an ice cream.
Yeah.
And
so you're in there in the gym.
Everything. You know, I was super intense. So then going back and playing and competing, I just enjoyed competing and not taking it too serious. I'd have a couple of beers with my dinner on a night, which I'd never ever do before.
Okay.
And so you also learn what's right and what's wrong, and maybe there isn't a right and a wrong. It's whatever suits that person. But being more relaxed, I'd go and I'd just play, a little bit of practice, not spend hours practicing, because that doesn't help my body. And just enjoy being there and competing. And I finished third in one of the events. I finished 25th, I think, in the rankings out of 6 out of 10 tournaments. So I just played the minimum events, and I'd go and I'd finish right up there still.
Okay.
Even not playing full time and not really practicing, just enjoying it and going back and enjoying spending time with the lads who I know, and I just enjoy competing really. So
you'll keep doing this then? Yeah,
well, we can't right now, can we? So
that's it. We can't travel.
I kept my ranking in the Philippines, and then obviously COVID struck. No one can go and travel and play anyway.
All right.
So we have a local tour here, like a winter series PGA thing, which I won the rankings once. I finished second last year. I missed a putt on the last, which, as it turned out, I would have won.
Okay, really? Is that
that's like over 10?
Yeah,
I mean, they're just one-day events. I'm actually the top of the rankings at the moment for the new season. I think we've had 7 events.
All right.
So it's just being competitive. I don't really practice.
Okay.
Just turn up and
then just
turn up, enjoy competing. You know, some of the lads take it a little bit more serious than the others.
All right.
Some make up numbers. It sounds a bit harsh, but they enjoy just playing golf and as well.
Yeah.
But there's just different standards. I can still play reasonably well.
Aye.
But I don't really practice. I just teach and do a little bit of demonstrating, play 9 holes with my students here and there.
But you don't want to have that intense competitive part come back.
Well, we do a little bit, and we do. And when I go and play like in the Philippines, and you see the guys who are still doing it, and I look and think, what are they doing, wasting their time really? If I can turn up and beat them, and I don't practice, some of it's cruel maybe, some of it's harsh, but I think, how do they get by? I've done it, and I've done well, and they're not doing as well as I'd done before. How do they keep going each week?
Yeah. I mean,
they live on nothing.
That's it. What would be your kind of advice based on your experience in being a pro golfer and all the tournaments that you've done in the European and the Asian tour and everything? How I mean, you must have some advice for some people now that are in sort of aspiring golfers. When do you know? When is it when you're like, okay, I think I got to switch. I should play chess maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a point where you gotta keep going, keep striving, right? But then there's another point where it's kind of like maybe this isn't your sport. Maybe you should look at other options.
Yeah, I think be realistic. I kept my own stats, and I paid a statistician to look at my stats and tell me where I was going wrong. He'd give me feedback saying, look, you should be winning on the European Tour with these numbers. You've just got to get there. And I looked at it and talked about it with my dad. Whenever you're still improving, there's a reason to try to keep going.
Yes.
If you're not, and I always was competing. I was up there a lot in the top 10. I'd won, and I made a little bit of money, but just enough to get by really. So you're chasing the dream. For guys who are not doing that, that's okay. There's only a certain amount of time you can give yourself.
That's right.
But don't be realistic. I would say be realistic. Yeah. What are you scoring in practice? What are you scoring when you play? Because if you're not scoring super low just in friendly knocks, you're wasting your time. If you're not up there regular, making cuts is not good enough.
Yeah,
especially until you make it at the European Tour. Making cuts, even then I've got friends who have made cuts regularly on the European Tour, but unless you're then the odd top 20, odd top 10, you're still not going to make enough because when the big guys play, the money is so much more. So if you can't get in that tournament, they're all pulling ahead. The people who can get in it. So
jeez, yeah, it's just competitive now, right?
Yeah, you've got to be realistic at how good you really are. Be honest with yourself. It's about being honest with yourself. I see a lot of guys that have some who have won, so I wouldn't necessarily tell them to give up. But there's guys who are not even close to winning.
Okay.
A top 10's a good finish for them.
Yeah.
And unless you're under par, few under par consistently, then it's just not good enough now. There's too many people doing it.
Oh, is that so? That's obviously the big reason. Is just there's just too many people now. It's so much more competitive than it was back in the day.
I think here in China it's difficult for people. Most of the students have got wealthy parents.
So they basically have a sponsor, a lifetime sponsor.
Yeah, they're not doing it to be a good golfer. They're doing it to have golf as a hobby. Okay. An interest that helps them get into schools in America or England or elsewhere.
I see.
That's why a lot of them are doing it.
Yes.
It's obviously looked at as a gentleman's game.
Yes,
so
that's
the
right.
manners that they learn and the etiquette and the rules are important to some of the parents here, that they think that is good for their kid to learn how to behave.
Puts them in the right circles too. Gets them meeting people that they should be
There's
meeting.
not enough people serious about it here.
Okay.
That's a frustrating thing because I'm quite passionate about what I do. And obviously my experience I can give to. I've got one student in America right now he's got a chance.
Okay. What would be the thing that he's missing? If he is missing something, what would be local athletes here, there is a different way in the way that they're brought up. And then when you tell your story about, being a rugger, and injury and dealing with it and just popping painkillers, that's not how it's done here, right?
Yeah, of course not. And it's not done like that for a lot of golfers. So I'm not saying what I did is the right way, but it shows a lot of desire.
Yes, a lot of grit. You have to
a lot
have
of fight and the things I've had to go through. A lot don't do it. And I see it from other guys and I see that they just don't really want it.
Okay.
But for the young kid who's got a chance, he's still only young. I mean, he might only be 13 years old now.
Ah, okay. So,
but he's been playing for a long time. He's into it. He practices. He's done well and won competitions in Shenzhen and China. He's gone to America and he's competing now with the kids in America. He's at the Sean Foley Academy, I think. So having his schooling there and everything. We keep in touch. He sends some swings and I give him things to work on. Whether he actually does some of the exercises that I tell him in terms of challenges around, I don't know what the facility's like there that he can actually do or can't do. He's obviously around coaches there that are setting them stuff to do. So, but he said, "Don't worry, he'll always be my coach." So
that's sweet.
If he does do well one day, hopefully he remembers and
he remembers
gives me a master's ticket, right? Has me inside the ropes there. But, there's a long way to go before he's thinking about that. What is he missing? I wouldn't say he's necessarily missing anything.
Yeah, at 13 years old, he's still sort of figuring out whether or not this is something he wants to do for the rest of his life.
He's in the right place. Here, it's so tough because the golfing culture is very different.
Okay.
I can only really compare it to the UK, but I go back there and I see the kids in the summertime and the parents drop them off at 8 o'clock in the morning and then they go to work. And they pick them up on the way home from work, or some of them are there till dark, so the parents just come when they've finished doing whatever they want. So they're there from 8 o'clock till 9, 10 o'clock at night sometimes.
Okay.
And there'll be a group of juniors, chipping, putting, go and play 9 holes, come back, do some putting, have lunch, go and play another 9. They can't do that here. Okay. Everything's like, you've got to have a caddy, you've got to be on a golf cart. Like there's 10-year-old kids carrying their own bag around.
I see.
And they're just put all day long, and here they're going from one class to the next class to the next class to the next class, taken by a nanny and a driver. It's just so different.
They're chauffeured around. That's true.
Whereas some of the parents will play here. Some come and sit in the lessons. So not all are brought by these nannies and drivers, but it's just very different. Where that just go and stay there all day. You'll be fine. Play with your friends. And some will end up being good players, some just reasonable club players.
I see.
But it's very, very different. And like I do quite a few on-course plays with the kids. There, if I was a pro, probably wouldn't do that much. They just get sent out with a member, or they'd have regular junior tournaments. Okay. Then they might be able to, when they get to a certain age or certain times, they can play in the adult competition. It's just so different, learning to mark their own golf ball, think about where they're putting their bag. Everything's done for them here. So they don't ever think for themselves, which is the hardest bit, I think, to teach them.
I see.
Because nothing that they ever do is
that's
that
true.
I even get it with the parents that I'm asking, so what did we do last lesson? They go, and the parent will butt in and tell me what we did last lesson. And it's like, I'm not talking to you. I'm asking
Yeah.
your son or your daughter. And if they're always doing that to them, they never remember what we do in a lesson.
Yeah.
And they're never going to remember if they're not given a chance to remember. I can only comment on what they do in the golf lessons. It might be like that in every class they do.
I see.
But just to the point of just don't remember what they're doing.
That's it.
Which makes our job more difficult.
Yeah, they're not really standing on their own 2 feet.
They're never taught to think for themselves. And on a golf course, they've got to think, right, where do I need to hit this ball? And I say, use your brain, think about it. I talk about it with them in the class, then go on the course. I'm like, have you left your brain back in the classroom? What? We just talked about this.
Yes, that's it.
But they're just, because the caddy's there, right, here's a club, this is where you need to aim, this is what you need to do. It's so difficult, even to the point with the caddies dropping the ball. If they hit it in the water or the trees, they'll just drop a ball in the middle of the fairway and say, go on, hit it again.
Okay.
And I'm like, do you know the rules? I have to use my translator to talk to the caddy. Do you know the rules? Yeah. So why have you just dropped his ball in the middle of the fairway? It should be down there next to the water. Oh, well, I just thought, I'm trying to teach them the rules. I'm trying to teach them how to play. You're supposed to be helping. Not making my job more difficult.
Yeah.
So it's just always like that. And then we have a meeting at work about, so anyone got any comments? And I'm sat there like, and then he's like, what have you got to say? I said, nothing.
It's all good.
He's like, come on, what have you got to say? I said, look, I've said it so many times already. It won't change.
Yes, that's right.
Because there's too many people involved in helping these kids to learn properly.
I see.
So and it might sound
then.
negative against China, but it's just a completely different golfing culture where they're not pushed. Go on, get your bag on that trolley, pull it around yourself. You've got to think where you leave that bag to get to the next hole. So there's no point leaving it over there. When you're going over there, then you're going that way.
I see.
Yeah, okay, all kids will leave it in the wrong place at first, but they start to learn. And adults will help. Look, think about it. Think where you got to go next. Don't leave your bag over there. It all saves time. Because there's a lot about golf taking too long now. There's a big thing in the program. They've changed the rules, like even for looking for a golf ball. It used to be 5 minutes, now 3.
Okay.
They changed it from 40 seconds to 30 seconds that you've got to hit your shot, and all these different things. They're saying that they want to get more people learning about golf. They watch it on TV, and the pros take 5.5 hours.
Yeah.
So,
it's just too much time.
Yeah, they're looking for fast ways to play the game, and
yeah.
So, and it is changing. Golf's constantly changing. Technology's changing. The world's changing, right? So, but here it's just different. It's just different, and it's hard when we've seen it and been around that. It's hard for us to implement it, because it doesn't just come from us being there doing what we do. It comes to how the golf club run their tee times and how they let kids come and practice.
There's so much to change. It wouldn't just be 1 or 2 things. It'd be the whole system, right?
Well, now you go to the driving range now. You can't get a bay at certain times of the day. Only time is 12 till 2 when everyone goes for lunch and sleep.
For lunch and sleeps, yes.
Unless the rest of the time you'll get there at 9 o'clock. Every bay's full. I mean, people can't travel, can they now? And that's helped us in a way. The COVID situation, a lot of people have moaned about it. I can't really complain too much. I've done all right in terms of, since March, I've done all right. But it's expensive here for them to golf.
What's there? Yeah, talking about the business side of golf. I mean, you, I guess, would like to stay then in China. Would you imagine staying here for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, I mean, my circumstances have changed a little bit. I've got a little boy, so he kind of comes first.
Yeah.
We've talked about taking him back to England for his studies, which a lot of Chinese obviously want to get their kids abroad to study. He's obviously lucky that I'm British and it's easy for him to go.
Yes.
We're not having to pay fortunes through an agent and whatever else, and he's got cousins there that it'd be nice for him to grow up around. For me personally, I'd prefer to stay here and work. I can earn more money here. I quite like the lifestyle. Shenzhen's a lovely city. It's very clean.
And it's expensive, right? Like you were saying. So this is a golf, sort of almost like a golf center for China, right? You've got Mission Hills. So that,
which is out of town, obviously.
So the pay for golf instruction here is probably higher than most areas of China.
Well, yeah, and the rest of the world, I think.
Oh. Okay.
My concern is where I work at Sand River or Palm Springs, is that the land is so valuable They won't be there for much longer.
Oh, they'll build a high-rise
Yeah, they
shopping
will,
mall.
because they're going up everywhere, aren't they?
Yeah, that's
so there's other courses getting closed down around. I know the airport's closed. So when the lease runs up, it might be 2035 or something. So there's a fair bit of time yet, but who knows, they could just sell it before then.
Yeah.
It must be worth so much, that land.
That's right.
So that's obviously one worry here, that then there's nowhere else in the city.
Yeah.
Okay, there's Zealand.
Then you start to go
20
out.
minutes away. So my plans are to stay. The cost of playing golf is expensive. The cost of having lessons is expensive compared to other places. But so is the cost of living here. You know, rent's high, but salaries are higher for everyone.
It's relative, right?
Yeah, I mean, you look at different things, and the richest people in the world and the most billionaires. I think I watched on a British TV show, and Shenzhen is top 10 with most billionaires in the world. So there's obviously a lot of people with a lot of money.
Yeah,
and more and more coming, I think.
And more of them want to play golf.
Yeah.
Now golf, you got to play golf almost, right? It's where business is done.
Yeah, I mean, I got assuming that they bought lessons, two ladies came for a trial on Sunday morning. They came and were stood outside my teaching bay on Saturday with a man. They come the next day and say, oh, that guy who was with us, well, he's our boss. He's paying for us to learn golf. I said, why? He said, business. We want to do business on the golf course.
Yes.
Again, this could be something I've got to be careful what I say, because there's been a lot of press and government people banned from playing because they were getting under the table things, playing golf. There's been all sorts of stuff like that going on in China, right? So
that's right.
They closed courses down. I don't know how true any of it is and what, but all around the world there's people doing business on a golf course. It's kind of a little bit
almost
informal,
normal,
right? It's a bit more social. They can sit in a cart separate to someone else and talk and mutter to themselves. And, he wants this much money. And no
classic way to do a deal, get a contract signed.
So it's expensive to play golf. Membership's crazy expensive, but then you've still got to pay every time you come for a caddy and a cart.
Yeah, what's the price then? What's your average price for 18 holes then?
I don't actually know. I went to play Zealand on Sunday for 9 holes.
Shili's a well-known course.
Yeah, and it's nice. And one guy was a member. Well, actually, they made him pay members guest rate. They didn't give him the members rate because he was a young kid, and they said, we haven't got your picture and all this, but his dad's a member. So we all still got members guest rate. And for 9 holes, it was like 1,200 or something for 9 holes.
Each?
Yeah, each. That's just for 9 holes. So it's not cheap at all.
It's not cheap.
I mean, for me, I'm then charging my time for the kids to take around the course. But they loved it. You know, they loved it, and taking videos and have some banter with them on the course. And they're 12, 13 years old kids, but you know, they're having a good time, and that's what it's about as well. Like, you can't expect every single person who comes for lessons to want to be a golfer. So that's where I've got to kind of rein it in a little bit and not be too hard on them. The parents are like, be hard on them, do this, do that. And it's like, I don't want them to not enjoy coming to play golf. It's not like learning maths or English, where it's a little bit, you've got to do this, what's 2 add 2, and if you don't know the answer, then you need to work harder. It's a little bit, let them just enjoy playing. I'm saying to them, look, you need to do this, you need to do that. I don't want to do it. Leave me alone. I'm like, look, I'm trying to help you. But they just want to play and have fun. And
so especially when they're young, and golf is quite a precise sport, right? So I think they could easily be like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Well,
I'm out.
And that's where, for me, I don't want to be hard on them. I want them to like me as their teacher. They call me a teacher instead of a coach. But I want them to like me. I want them to enjoy coming. The parents are more about results, maybe. They want them to improve. The kid doesn't care. I care. I want to see them improve. But the main thing is, look, they enjoy coming.
Yes, that's it.
A lot of that isn't looked upon in the right way for me here. That'd be a big thing that I think the parents need to learn. But that's just parents everywhere as well. There's a lot of talk about the cycle of student, coach, parent relationship. I've had to do studies on it now with the PGA and about the different types of parents that there is that you'll come across. And but I know there's Tiger and his first Tiger's dad and Tiger's first coach once had a conversation. Oh no, it was Butch Harmon. So like obviously a famous coach. Him and Earl Woods had a conversation, and Butch Harmon said, "Look, I don't want you to get too involved in his coaching." And Earl said, "I tell you what, you don't try and be his dad, and I won't try and be his coach."
Okay.
So they shook hands at that and left it at that. That you be his coach, I'll keep out of it. Don't tell me how to bring my child up, type thing. And
I
said okay, and
it worked out quite well.
Well, yeah, and
yeah,
I get it sometimes. They come and they tell me how you need to teach him like this, you need to teach him like that. Look, do you go in his English class and tell them how to teach him English? I know what I'm doing. Let me do my job.
Okay.
So that's not just China. You know, you're going to get pushy parents. You're going to get parents that don't. I wouldn't say don't care. A little bit more relaxed.
Yeah.
Who they just want them to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But that's the difficult thing. Like when you're passionate and you want everyone to improve, then they're just not bothered.
That's it. Yeah. It's interesting. Really good insight into not just the golf scene in China, but also you teaching and the students that you deal with. What would you then say finally, before we have to end? We're nearing our time here. What would be the future for golf in China? I mean, we're in 5 years from now. Where do you think it's going to be as an industry, and then obviously you yourself?
I think that it's going to keep growing. It's constantly growing. More and more people are going to play. The concern is that it's going to move away from the city, which might put some people off. But there's a famous Chinese golfer now who's doing well, Li Haotong or Haotong Li, whichever order you say his name. But many kids don't even know who he is. I ask, do you know any golfers? They say no. Oh, so you've not heard of him? No. Have you heard of Tiger Woods? No. That's hard, you know. When they're not into golf, they don't know any golfers at all. It's hard to get them, you know, excited about it. Whereas when I was growing up, I was late, but Tiger Woods was an inspiration. Right? I watched his been winning the US junior amateurs, then the US amateurs, and then the Masters. And I used to watch the video every night because I was into it. Even as not really a serious golfer at the time, I watched it on video and fall asleep to it every night. But I think I've always been a sportsman. I've always wanted to be a sportsman. So it's very different here. They're pushed to gaming. Okay, the parents might not want them to game, but they're pushed to maths and English and science as well as. Unless the golf clubs change the culture, they're always going to struggle to get serious golfers.
That's it.
But there's always going to be the exception where there's a talent that comes through and they love it, and then they get away to England or America, and there's always going to be an exception.
That's the key. In China, for anything to grow, you need to have a Chinese athlete. You need to have some sort of star that grows, does
for sure.
really well.
A role model, right?
Everyone follows, yeah.
There's a Tiger Woods documentary on that. I'm going to watch today, actually, the second one. Some of it's not very good in terms of what Tiger did, but he talks back to him being really young, and he sat in his high chair watching his dad hit balls in the garage. His mum had to feed him, and he's like watching his dad and then eating, and come to take him out, he doesn't want to get out. His dad said he's going to change the game of golf forever. Tiger at a young age says that I'm going to be bigger than Jack Nicklaus. I'm going to be like the Michael Jordan of golf. And this was so young. It's really interesting to watch it.
Wow, that's interesting.
It's on HBO and it's called Tiger. Episode 2 is on, depends if you've got the IPTV box, right? Episode 2 was on last night in the States. So, and then it goes into like now, I think this episode about things he did with women and stuff like that. But that's a different subject.
Incredible.
At such a young age, he knew he was going to be great. His dad told him.
Yeah, he certainly made it popular, right? He made the sport like much more popular than it was. I don't think anyone else in golf has kind of made it.
Yeah, for sure. He changed.
Popular,
he has changed it. He's done exactly what they said. And like you said, like there's the famous Chinese basketballer.
Yeah.
They need that. They need that to push it. It's growing. It's coming more that people are watching it more and more. It's becoming more.
It's like trendy almost.
Yeah, more. Yeah, I was looking for the right word, but similar to trendy. It's cool, right? It's cool for the kids to now play golf.
That's it. Yeah. Instead, before it was kind of more unknown, right?
Yeah, and now it's cool for them to go and play golf. I think. Some of them look at that it is a rich person's sport here, which it used to be worldwide, but now that's difficult. That's difficult. Like I say, you're paying for caddies, you're paying for green fees, you're paying for all these things.
That's it, yeah.
It's hard to change that culture. But it's a money-making thing as well. If you've got a golf course in the city, you need it to be busy.
That's it.
It's all about
you got
money coming in.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough for it to change. Then it's not necessarily that people that are good don't have money. It's that they don't care as much about what they do.
Okay.
If they've got wealthy parents, they don't really have to care
There's
about
so many
much.
complications with that, right? With the wealthy parents, with wealthy kids. There's kids that are spoiled. There's kids that, like you said, they're kind of,
they've got no real drive.
Yeah.
They've got no real drive.
They know, like, oh, in order for me to get into this driving range, in order for me to get into, this course, there's so many things that happened before that they already have the status thing, right?
Yeah. So they don't care about anything they do too much about being the best, about winning. Whereas obviously Tiger, for instance, was instilled in him ingrained in him from such a young age.
Yeah, to work.
Yeah, and he worked hard, and they said nobody works harder than Tiger. Not just was he a natural talent.
It's a big thing.
He worked so hard, and the young kid I teach in America, he works hard. Out of all the students, he would practice the most. It's not an accident why he was one of the more successful students that I teach. I've got one here that as well that. He's got a chance. He's done all right in local events, but then his dad will push him to this coach and push him to that coach. Then he'll come back to me, and he'll come back with different ideas. And
that's just
like, look, you've got a chance. You've got a chance. Stop swapping and changing.
Yeah.
Like even if he's getting good information from me and he's getting good information from another coach, he's gonna start to think, well, which bit do I do?
Yeah. That's right.
So they've got
so much of it is work.
And
them relying on themselves.
I came here with so much enthusiasm, wanting to change, wanting to do all these things, and it got to the point where stop fighting. Just come to work, teach your lessons, go home, have an easier life. Don't stress about it.
Yeah.
Because it's just you're not going to change it.
That's it.
It's like trying to change the world, right? One man can't do it.
Yeah.
So I just kind of get along with it. Try and fit into their ways.
Yeah.
Don't try and change the whole world of golf within China. Just accept the way it is. If it's going to change, they'll change it. It's not for me to change.
Yeah.
Unless I was given such a big role somewhere that, right, this is how we're going to do it.
The director of golf in China.
Yeah. Well, or just a bigger role within the whole company that.
I would make golf much more cheaper. I'd make it just easier to access. And then you'd kind of see, kids that are like, wow, I really like golf, but I can't afford it.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to work for it. You'd see these people starting to come up.
But it'll never happen. It'll never happen.
Yeah.
Because land's just too expensive.
That's it, yeah.
They don't want to travel that far for their class because they go from one class to another class to another class.
That's it.
It's a tough thing.
And if Sand River gets taken, like you said, they build a big high-rise there again.
Yeah, one day that is going to happen for sure. It won't be a golf course forever. It's just too valuable.
It's just the land is right in the middle.
Which will be sad, obviously, but who knows if I'll still be here then anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll try and train my little one up as best I can, and I'll go stand inside the ropes with him at the Masters, right?
Yeah, that's right.
He can let me hold his green jacket instead of me holding my own, which obviously. That was my goal. Right?
That's it, yeah. Yeah, now it's his job.
Yeah. So it's my job to help him. It's my job to be the Earl Woods of my own little man.
And you've certainly been through enough to where you're the best. You're in the best position to give that right information.
Yeah, I would like to think so. I've been around good coaches.
And you take all that.
You pick pieces from each one.
Trust me on this. I know what to do.
It's obviously hard when it's a son and dad relationship. I know from that show Tiger, and I didn't realise that Tiger has had quite a few fallouts. And
with his dad?
Yeah, Tiger had said to him that I'm not sure you can be a dad and a businessman at the same time.
Wow.
Which meant businessman in terms of running his
empire.
Yeah, he obviously got so big that. But for sure he did a good job on him in the early years.
Yeah.
And Tiger talking about his son now, he looks pretty good as well. And every interview he does, they push him and he's like, I'm not going there. As long as he enjoys it, as long as he's having fun, as long as he enjoys it, as long as he enjoys it. It's up to him if he wants to do golf or not.
Okay.
If he enjoys it, if he enjoys it, if he enjoys it. Over and over again, all about enjoyment. which is obviously very different to what you see being a pushy parent. You've got to go golf, you've got to go golf. And
yeah,
if he wants to go and practice, he can go and practice.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Tiger Woods is Tiger Woods, and he should only be thankful for whatever his dad did, because chances are he wouldn't be where he is, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Can't really regret, at this point, it's just what he's going to do now in the future and his kids, right?
Yeah, there's always someone special in every sport, isn't there? I mean, look at Mayweather, you look at Messi, look at Ronaldo.
Yeah. And they always have a relationship with their dad. That is key. That
Ronaldo show talked about the situation with his dad, and he came from nothing, didn't he? And the woman in the some restaurant used to nip round the back and give him food in the street, and then he's contacted her years later when he's a world superstar to help her out, and which is nice, that he remembers things like that, and
that's good. Yeah.
But yeah, there's always some young star in every sport coming along.
That's it. Yeah.
So.
And hopefully Jackson Jr.
Well, you never know. Yeah. But it could be in any sport. Like, I just give him a ball now and make sure he enjoys hitting the ball.
See
he
what
prefers
he likes.
hitting me with the golf club at the minute than the ball.
Yeah. Let's see how it goes.
Well, at least he's hitting something, right?
I better close it out.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Thanks so much, Grant.
Okay, you're welcome.
For giving everybody
chatting with you.
the ins and outs of golf in China. Stay tuned, everyone, for equally awesome people like Grant Jackson here on the podcast. Bye, guys.